Okay guys, sorry, I'm gonna have to re-record this whole freaking video again on my CPS corruption story, because when people was beeping it to join the video, it pretty much canceled over half the video out. So I really hope no one beeps in to join the video, because it's gonna mess the video up. If it happens again, then I'm gonna have to record it separately on my phone and post it later. But I'm going to try to re-record this same video about my CPS corruption story, because over half the video was silent. You couldn't hear nothing. So now I'll have to re-record the video. So sorry for any inconveniences and everything. So this is basically my story and stuff about what happened in my CPS case and everything, because of the corruption was so bad. So I have two boys, Josiah, Alan, Brandon Limley, and then Dylan James Limley. I had a birth plane for both boys, but I don't have the one birth plane still of my oldest, because I lost that during the move from Jefferson Street to 691. But once I can get a release sign, I should be able, hopefully, get it. So this is the birth plane for Dylan James Limley. It is like 1, 2, 3. It's like 4 pages long, the birth plane. And they want to say that I now went through Head Start or Help Me Grow with Josiah, which is a lie. They said I never had a schedule for him. That was a lie. This video is going to be kind of backwards from the first one, but I mean, over half of it didn't even like register. So this was the schedule that me and my case manager did for Josiah's schedule, because he has autism, so I'll try to keep him on a schedule. And they kind of children's services and then guardian ad litem said I never went through Head Start or Help Me Grow. Head Start packets of my notes. They never had any concerns whatsoever for the baby safety, neither child safety. So I'm just going to basically show you guys most of the stacks of the Head Start paper reports and everything. This is another pack of Josiah's and Dylan's Head Start notes. Yes, I spilled coffee on it about a year or two ago. But it's not copy because it's records. Here's more Head Start notes sheets that I attended with Josiah, and then Help Me Grow, Beacon, School notes. There's a few of those mixed into this stuff. So they took my oldest autistic child on December 3rd, 2018 without a warrant. But we'll get into that later on in the video. First they say there was dependency going on with Josiah, and then they changed it to neglect because there was no dependency, and technically there was no abuse or neglect or nothing going on at all. But they tried to say that I neglected my sons. And must remind you, there was no charges pressed against me for abuse, neglect, or dependency. There was absolutely no charges pressed against me. More stuff at JL, which is Josiah Limley. They said that I did not have income, which I get SSI myself. And I also got cash assistance for Josiah. And here's some proof of the documentation. And some of the amounts he was getting. I got cash assistance for about a year, almost, maybe a little less. So I got him on his Social Security because of his delays. And of course, here's more false accusations for Josiah of neglect when there was no neglect or dependency on it. Jenny Stotts, which is a Casa Gal Courthouse, 2nd floor, Athens, Ohio, 45701. Casagao, which was Jenny Stotts and Kaylee Edifield. The Sierra Mink, which is Sue Meeks, by Public Square in Nelsonville. And then Ken Ryan was my guardian ad litem. Here's more proof of the beacon stuff that my son was involved with. Trying to say he never met his milestones when he was almost on time for most of his milestones. And another thing they want to use against me is that I didn't have safety planes. I update my safety planes every 6 months. And here's this for Medicaid assistance that I was getting from me, Josiah, and then Dylan. More false accusations of neglected. They say I now went to the University of Phoenix. I'm not smart enough. I went to the University of Phoenix, and I would have been on the dean's list if it wasn't for Children's Services. And they say I never graduated high school. I got my high school diploma, and I was ahead of my class. Here's a notarized copy of my high school transcripts. All the classes I was taking. I was ahead of my class. The required credits to graduate high school for this school was 21, and I got over 24 credits. And HCBDD, Early Childhood Development, which, because they placed him in Hawkins County for some stupid reason, and he was actually seeing the exact same people here in Athens County. More Head Start notes. Okay, now for the more interesting stuff. Parents are oftentimes treated as criminals without access to visit or even see their own children, and have child support payments strangling the very life out of them. And legally they cannot charge a person that's on SSI child support payments. So if they're charging you with child support payments and you only receive SSI, that is illegal. The Foster Parents Bill of Rights does not stress that a foster parent is there temporarily to care for a child till the child can be returned home to their parents. So many foster parents today use a foster parent bill of rights as means to hire a lawyer and seek to adopt a child placed in their care from the real parents who are desperately trying to get them out of the system. Recently, in Atlanta, a young couple learning to be new parents and loving it were told that because of an anonymous complaint, their daughter would be taken into custody by the state DFCS. The couple was devastated, and then was required by DFCS to take parenting classes, alcohol counseling, and psychological evaluations if they wanted to get their child back. All of the courses cost money, for which most parents are required to pay. While in their anxiety and turmoil to get their child home, the baby was left for hours in a car to die in the heat in her car seat by the DCFS workers. Special needs child employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. State Departments of Human Resources, DHR, and affiliates are given a baseline number of expected adoptions based on population. So that's where the census stuff comes in. And people say, well, that's not what they use that for. Well, yeah, it is. That's one of the things they use the census for. So they can figure out how much population is in the county and everything. And so they can figure out the adoption measurements to get the baseline expected adoptions every year based off the population. For every child DHR and CPS can get adopted, there is the bonus of $4,000 or maybe $6,000 or even more, depending on the child's disabilities. DHR, Human Resources, affiliates like CPS, ACCS, FCYS, DHS, DHHS, DHHR are just some of the named CPS agencies will go under in JFS. For every child DHR and CPS can get adopted, there is the bonus of $4,000 or even $6,000, but that is the only beginning figure per child in the formula they take away, and each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed on the baseline adoption number. So I'm going to read this again. Each kid they take away, each child is worth $4,000 to $6,000, even more. That's just the beginning figure of the formula, in which each bonus they get for each child they take with no reason is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in the foster care system. That means guardian ad litems, people they bring in from the community who don't know a jack crap about you, the judges, all this, CASA, GAO, every single one. They all work together to strip your rights away so they can reach their goals to increase the numbers of adoptions for the child in the foster care system in your state. And they even dip in the Social Security Fund, and people wonder why the Social Security Fund is going bankrupt, and they wonder why the United States is in debt so much. Well, first off, shut down all the CPS agencies that go under all these different names, and maybe we'll start saving money. As long as a child is out of the home, there is funding. So every month a child is out of the parent's home, they get funding every month. Thousands and thousands of dollars per child every month. There is funding for the foster care. Then when a child is placed with a new family, then adoption, there is more bonuses, more bonus funds are available for each child they adopt. When a child is placed in a mental health facility, it is on 16 psychotropic drugs per day, like they did with me. That's part of the reason I'm gonna have this weight, because they used me as a guinea pig as a foster child in Athens County Children's Services care, and I was on a lot more than 16 psychotropic drugs a day. I was almost murdered because the drugs they put me on, and the abuse, the neglect, and everything I've gone through with Athens County Children's Services as a child myself. Like 2 children of a constituent of mine, more funds are involved, and so is Medicaid and the pharma companies. More often than not, poor parents are targeted to lose their kids because they do not have the wherewithal to hire liars and fight the system. Being poor does not mean you're not a good parent, or that you do not love your child, or that your child should be removed and placed with strangers. That the strangers will, 9 times out of 10, like 99.99% of the time, when your child is placed in the foster care system with Children's Services and the courts, it's the highest bidder type of deal, and most time they get raped, abused, neglected, drugged, beat on, and human trafficked out, so they can just pin that stuff on the parents. Literally, that's corruption, I'm telling you. And it's because they target poor families because we don't have the means to hire a liar. For a consultation, it's $5,000. That's all. And that parents are often forced to take anger management classes, counseling, referrals, therapy classes, and on are demanded of parents with no compassion by the system, even while the parents are at work and while their children are separated from them. Sometimes parents are required to pay for these programs, and these can take months or even years. And I took parenting classes. I've been in counseling all my life. I've been in therapy classes. I've been in everything possible. Everything possible. And that was not good enough. There is nothing wrong with me. Like the hospital, the state private hospital in Columbus told me there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just suffering the major depressive disorder from the loss of my kids, and from being gaslighted and being going through narcissistic abuse from Athens County Children's Services in Athens, Ohio. Social workers as Child Protective Services are very often guilty of fraud, extortion. They withhold and destroy evidence that will go against what they were saying. They fabricate evidence and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. However, when charges are made against Child Protective Services, the charges are ignored because they get immunity. The separation of the families and the services in juvenile court can always hide behind a confidentiality clause in order to protect their decisions and keep the funds flowing. There should be open records and court watches when sadly there's not, but they need to have those. Look who is being paid. There are state employees, lawyers, court investigators, guarding ad items, court personnel, and judges. All parents are capable of making mistakes, and that making a mistake does not mean your children are to be removed from the home. Even if the home is not perfect, it is a home, and that's where a child is the safest, where he or she wants to be with the parent or parents. It's all about the money, guys. It's all about the money. Like, literally. So, this is a 45-year-old male in Columbus, Ohio, back several years ago when I used to have a Meet Me account. I kind of got off of that bullcrap. But anyway, I will, so you basically tell me I was a good mother, and that I need to go to the fight, blah, 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 blah. It says, and I told him I will if I knew CPS won't take it from me with how bad they are discriminating against me. Why would they take the baby? Meaning Dylan James Limley. And he's like, you're a fit mother. He even knew I was a fit mother. He's seen the pictures, saw the nursery. He's seen the pictures of me and my oldest, the shot records, everything. I was like, yes, I am, but CPS don't want to see past with disabilities, and they took my 2-year-old, which my 2-year-old is now 4 years old, and my infant is now 1 year old, and my boy's name is Josiah Allen Brandon Limley, and then Dylan James Limley. He told me this guy from North Charleston, it's a male, I can't see that age because it's stapled together, but, this is still copies and screenshots of the Meet Me account. He told me keep up, keep fighting, don't stop fighting, ever, never stop fighting. And I told him, I told him, don't worry, I already filed a complaint on them the 3rd time. With names, addresses, info, numbers, and the threats and what happened. The discrimination stuff all was sent to Columbus, Ohio. If they don't do shit, I'll be reaching Amy in Columbus next. If they don't do shit, then I'll go higher up. And I told him someone's got to call them out on their bullshit. And so he's like, they can't just take your kid for no reason. Actually, they can. They don't have to have a reason to take your kids. If they want money, they don't have to have a reason to take your kids. And I told this person I attended all my appointments, and he asked me, did a medical professional say you were too unstable? I was like, medical professional has told them several times I am stable, but they're still fighting it. Only thing medical professional said is the situation I am in is causing me more depression and trauma, that if it was not for this situation, I have always been stable. I'm getting a little sleepy, guys, but I'm not going to bed till I finish this video because I have to re-record it. I was like, I know that, and that's what they do. If it's a single parent home or the parent has mild depression, they would just take your kid for no good reason. And like I said, they don't legally have to have a reason, supposedly legally, but in reality, they have to have a legal reason to take your kids, and they don't. And they just take your kids for profit. Sad, disgusting, and sick. Alright, and this is on Facebook Messenger from David Ernest Hertinger. It must be his foster family. Something's happening there because I never known Josiah to be afraid of any males. And I told him, like, you're exactly right. Like, that I was going to get visitation and stuff, and then they use the excuse, well, okay, and then they say, well, she's not allowed to be out the center, and it's like, well, she can go have visits at the sheriff's station in Athens, and then they, all of a sudden, like, the following week, they came up with a lame excuse, stating that he's afraid of males. He's never been afraid of males, never once, never once. It's just a way so that they can try to make it where I can't have visitation with my kid. And so then after that, they said that and everything, they say, and it's like, well, there's a library. The court said there's a library. She can see her kid there. And it's like, well, she's unstable. She's crazy. She's a psychopath. She's threatening us. She doesn't need her kid. She's saying that she's going to do all this criminal activity. I'm not even going to say, because I never said what they said I said. And what they said, that I am a psychopath and unstable and stuff, just to know that's not true. Not true at all. Because they said that, they decided to not give me visitation. So, Dylan Lemley was supposed to be technically for dependency, and then they changed it to neglect. So, Dylan was not neglected. Steve Meeks, Athens County Children's Services, gave false testimony. I did not even bring him home. Both boys had their own sleep area. Dylan had everything he needed, so did Josiah. They acted out of discrimination and retaliation for losing 5 cases of the same things. Sue Meeks intentionally lied to take my kids. She verbally threatened these threats. And then they got notes, gained notes. And some of that stuff is like messed up. And they did everything. They did blood tests, everything. There was nothing wrong with my child. He was completely healthy. Completely healthy. And they still took him. And he passed all the physicals. He did not have jaundice neither, like my oldest had. My oldest had jaundice. But my youngest was completely healthy. There was absolutely nothing wrong with him. Absolutely nothing wrong with him. And they was trying to make me pay child support and all kinds of crap. And they even tried to go as far as to see and do everything they can to strip my SSI away, my food stamps, my Medicaid, my Section 8 housing, everything they could think of. They tried to strip away, and they wasn't successful. So they got mad and started more lies and accusations. And if my oldest was truly neglected, then what the hell is all these vaccinations? He went to the doctors on a weekly basis. He never missed any appointments. Maybe he missed maybe 2% of his appointments. For us then, he attended. And most of it because of bad weather. And then this is one of his growth charts. I have a lot more of his growth charts somewhere. And the doctor said there's nothing. He's healthy. He's doing good. They like what they're seeing of my oldest. But yeah, Children's Services tried pin neglect on me when I never neglected him. They refused to take his medications with them. They refused to take the diapers, wipes, clothes, his pull-ups, diapers, a blanket, and everything. Like, they are legally supposed to have you give them some of his stuff so he can have it. And they refused to take any of that, refused to take his medical card, refused to take his medications, and everything he needed. With just neglect, and they pin neglect on me. And on December 3rd, 2018, they unlawfully took my son, and I changed his diaper matters of minutes before this happened, before they trample on me, before they knock him unconscious, before they have the cops attack me. All this stuff, like, literally, like, before all that stuff happened, he was just changed. So when he had a wet diaper, soiled diaper, he wet himself in Athens County Children's Services care. Laura Bobo and Tara Carsey knocked my oldest autistic son unconscious, and he had a wet diaper in their care, and they left him in a soiled diaper for 24 hours. Laura Bobo, the supervisor, and Tara Carsey, the adoption CPS worker, left him in a soiled diaper for 24 hours in their care when I changed him right before all that stuff happened. Then Laura Bobo lied in Judge Robert Stewart's juvenile courtroom saying I left him in a soiled diaper when the bitch is the one who left him in a soiled diaper, not me. To whom it may concern, Josiah Limley, which is my oldest, was enrolled in early Head Start from 7/22/16 to 2/24/18. Bethany was also enrolled during her pregnancy for several months. So when they said I never was enrolled in Head Start or Help Me Grow, here's proof that he was enrolled in Head Start, and I was enrolled in Head Start for my pregnancy with both pregnancies. And here's more proof of the Head Start notes. There's a lot of them. Literally. And then there's stuff from DHHR, all this other crap. And I got this letter when I was in the regional jail for over 2 months. So while I was in the regional jail, this was in my mailbox waiting for me to pick up. And about the time I was released from the jail, it was too late to send my documentation in to prove my innocence, which Athens County Children's Services wanted to keep me in jail, so I won't show them my documents to show my innocence. So yeah, they did everything they can so they won't make themselves look bad. Now, I filed complaints 3 times. And most of the time I didn't even get them. I got the 2 letters, however, though, while I was in the regional. By the time I got out of the regional, it was too late to send over my documents to prove my innocence. And this says, this was in April 23rd, 2019, when I was in my first trimester with Dylan. This is the encounter for supervision, normal pregnancy, unspecified first trimester. Note to the provider, to whom it may concern, Bethany Limley is a patient of ours who is pregnant. She attends all her obstetric appointments and has formulated in a pregnancy birth plan that is consistent with the standard of care. And then, again, on 10/27/2019, for my routine natal care. Like they said, I never went to my natal care for none of my pregnancies, and that was a lie. It's the encounter for supervision of other normal pregnancy 3rd trimester. Nature of illness, to whom it may concern, Bethany Limley has been compliant with prenatal care for this pregnancy. And then I had another one somewhere about attending all my prenatal care for Josiah. I have a couple letters with that too. To whom this may concern, Bethany Limley, date of birth 8/30/1990, is a patient of mine. She is compliant with her GYN office visits for a postpartum checkup and all this other stuff. And she brings her son, Josiah, with her to these visits every time. Because they try to tell the court that I left my son unattended, home by himself, all kinds of stuff, when that's not true. This is a letter from one of my friends that was trying to stick up for me. I've known Bethany since 2012. After her son was born, I have been around them and seen them on video chat, and every time I have seen them, she has been stable and a good mother. When I've been around, he is walking around, playing, and gets to play outside. She always kept his appointments and sure he was taken care of. And they got mad because I had people was my witness, and they didn't want anyone to stick up for me. And they get mad because they couldn't brainwash him to lie on me, like they did with a lot of the people. This letter's that I wrote on June 10th, 2019, J. Edwards. I have a copy of it, and they received a copy. It was on High Street, 14th floor, Columbus, Ohio. I am writing this letter to inform you of illegal actions and discriminations committed by Athens County Children's Services and CMEEX, along with Jane Hamill Lambert, with the names and addresses and phone numbers and what needs or should be done and actions that should be done. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bethany Limley. I reside currently at my address. I'm not going to say that on here. in Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio. Since 2016 to current, Athens County Children's Services has been threatening and harassing me, along with discrimination and alternating evidence and committing fraud and extortion. June 19, 2016, my miracle baby boy, Josiah Limley, was born emergency C-section at Oblennis in Athens, Ohio, due to severe side effects of the epidural. Athens County Children's Services opened a case on me due to false accusations for 12 months. They have a case open on me due to be proven of all abuse been proven to be unfounded. Then another case was open on me later that year, following 2016, due to my mental health disabilities and being a victim of domestic violence and being on welfare and not being rich. They lied and alternated evidence to have a case open on me out of retaliation from losing the first case. It was due to be unfounded as well. To be unfit, and it's been proven to be unfounded, to be unfit and unstable. So there was no proof of that. Then later in 2017, there was another case open on me due to the exact same thing was found unfounded, but they had to lie to get a case open on me. And it was all dependency, abuse, neglect, mental unstable, not having income. It was all these stupid accusations. They knew that wasn't true, but they kept opening cases on me. Then in 2018, 2 more cases was open on me for the exact same thing. They had to lie, alternate the report to be a case open each time the cases were closed, to be unfounded, to be unfit and unstable. Then November 2018, Josiah had his autism screening, and I took him to Jane Hamel Lambert from Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, and she has another office she works at, along with Sue Meeks, which Sue Meeks works at Park Hall, Athens, College Green, in the basement. Sue Meeks both threaten me. They will lie, fabricate, and alternate any recordings and evidence and what I say and do, everything they can to see I lose my son and never get him back because of my mental illness and disabilities, because I was in the foster care system myself with Athens County Children's Services, and I was on an IEP along with being a victim of domestic violence in 2015 that I conceived by rape, that they do not support on people as myself to have kids to list above categories due to being on SSI, fees, stamps, and medical. So on 12/3/2018, Athens County Children's Services had no warrant to remove my son. They attacked my 2-year-old and slapped him, hit his head off the wall repeatedly, thrown him on the floor, made a huge scene at my Section 8 apartment, trashed my whole apartment, stole $60+ from me, and he was just changed seconds before into a clean, dry diaper. Then they lied, say he was sitting in a soiled diaper. He was not. He was knocked unconscious in his, in this something. I do not know what they did to him afterwards. They refused to take Josiah's medication and things. Athens County Children's Services also shoved me down and trampled on me because I said that that's not a warrant. And I asked, why are they taking him? What's the reason to take him? Then they told Nelsonville Police Department Officer Hawk to brutally attack me, to write out a huge false report, take me to the regional. I was released on the 4th, close to 3 p.m. And the 11th, a warrant was issued for I do not know what. I was in jail 2 months, so I won't try to file a grievance. They are still lying to keep custody and not reunifying him to terminate my rights. And Lori Bobo was the one who lied on the stand, saying that I left him in a soiled diaper. When she's the bitch, she left him in a soiled diaper. When Tara Carsey was the bitch who left him in a soiled diaper, not me. And he was just changed prior. Kaylee Edenfield, the GAL, which is the guardian ad litem, also is lying to keep my son out of my custody, to not be granted visitation She's committing fraud and lying, alternating everything I say to see I never get my son back or get visitations. 2 days before June 19th, 2018, Josiah was molested by Child Protective Services and the Respite family with Athens County Children's Services in Athens, Ohio. I was threatened if I said anything or take him to the doctor, I would be charged and thrown in jail or prison. Judge Stewart closed the case in 2016, and Stephanie McDaniel got all mad, ticked off. She slammed the briefcase down. All the fraudulent documents, all the fraudulent evidence came out of the suitcase. She went off. Literally went off because she couldn't get custody of my kid. And she's a CPS, work with Athens County Children's Services. And Judge Stewart closed the case in 2016 because of no evidence. I'd like to see my son be reunited in my case and charges be pressed against each person listed in this letter. They've been sentenced to 3 years of prison and be red flag. I know 10 other families just in this county, and I know a lot more now in this county. Athens County Children's Services system being discriminated against for the exact same things, who has lost their children permanently, like they did with mine. Janet Hamill Lambert, Psychiatric and Behavioral Health, Psychiatry and Child Development Center on 187 West Shrook Road, Westerville, Ohio. Sue Meeks, the Family Navigator, 204 Grosvenor Hall, Athens, Ohio. Mariah, Physical Therapy, Tara for the manager there, and Stephanie, his speech therapist, at 75 Hospital Drive, Suite 160, Athens, Ohio. Athens County Children's Services, 18 Stony Brook Drive, Athens. Were some of the people who was involved with the false testimony to take my kids away. 2019, I was hospitalized because of tarot card C, the court system, Athens County Children's Services, all were gaslighting me, narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, threatening me, stalking me, trying to get through my door, all this stuff. And my principal diagnosis was just major depressive disorder without psychotic features from what I've gone through with Children's Services. As you can see. And Hopewell Health Centers, the on-call counselor there, wrote down fraudulent notes to put in the computer system saying that I'm imagining all this stuff. That's not true, because Hopewell Health Centers support the CPS corruption that goes on in Athens County, Ohio. So they lied on the hospital notes, fraudulently putting fraudulent diagnoses down and everything. And I questioned another on-call counselor. They said, we just have to make something up to put in the computer system so you can be admitted somewhere. So there is admittance there where they just admitted they make up diagnoses and make up stuff with Hopewell so they can just have something to put me in a hospital with, or to put on my record, although I don't have to have those diagnoses. Fraud. And Athens County Children's Services said he wasn't meeting his milestones. Josiah wasn't meeting his milestones. That I wasn't feeding him. And all this other crap, which was a lie. Here are some notes. I had a lot more notes than this, but where I moved from Jefferson Street to 691, I lost a lot of the notes. And then here's more proof that I attended Head Start. Like they said, I never attended Head Start when I did. And I was also going through Early Intervention Services, Category C with Help Me Grow, and they said I was not when I was. More notes of the meetings, of the home visits and everything. And Head Start is pretty pissed at CPS for doing this. They never said anything bad about me. Never. Here's more Head Start notes. And I went through Head Start with both pregnancies. I went through Early Head Start after Josiah was born. And this is just some of the times, the dates, and ounces that Josiah ate when he was a baby and his diaper changes. This is just a very small amount of what I did have. Like I said, I lost most of them during the move from Jefferson Street to 691, but there is still a good bit of his feeding schedules, how many he eat, his diapers, everything. This is just a very, very small amount of stuff I logged. People involved with fraud to take both of my kids, Josiah Allen Brandon Limley and Dylan James Limley, both of their birth dates. One, Josiah's birth date is 6/19/2016. Dylan's birth date is November 8th, 2019. And they kept dragging the cases out, kept up having lame excuses why they can't attend my court hearings and all this other stuff to just drag the case out. Tara Carsey. She's also the caseworker in the adoption section of Athens County Children's Services, one of the ones who took Josiah illegally and unlawfully without a warrant. Laura Bobo, the Protective Service Program Supervisor. Susan Ballard, the Family Service A Supervisor. Judge Robert Stewart, Athens County Juvenile Court, and he knew he was going to quit and retire because of medical conditions, supposedly, so he didn't give a crap how it affected me. And that's what happens when you whore around with multiple CPS workers and attorneys to get whatever you want. Judge Powell, juvenile judge through Meigs County, Ohio, who stripped my rights away in Athens County, although he was a Meigs County judge. Kaylee Edifield, Josiah and Dylan's guardian ad litem. Leisha Garrico, the supervisor intake, the one who also her and several other people hacked my Gmail account 2 months prior of removing my child and sent threatening messages to herself, and had other people send threatening messages through my email to her to find a reason to take my son on December 3rd, 2018. She paid someone to hack my account to pin shit on me that I never did. And she was trying to pin over 60 accounts of felony 5s on me that I never did. She fraudulently hacked my account. She fraudulently did extortion. She hacked my account and had other people help her to hack my account and have other people send her threatening messages through my email. They hacked, and she did the same thing. Which you can actually email yourself because I tried it before. And so she could just put a civil protection order on me fraudulently and everything. So she can get what she wants to make me look like I'm crazy and unstable, because I'm not crazy or unstable. And she knew she had nothing on me, so she did this stuff, manipulative, narcissistic, and gaslighting, along with the whole entire court personnel in Athens County Children's Services in Athens, Ohio. Keller Blackburn, prosecutor attorneys. Karen Armstrong, the parent mentor. Sue Meeks, or Susan Meeks. She goes by Susie Meeks, Sue Meeks, and Suzanne Meeks. The one that works at Athens County, Ohio, Park Hall, College Green, in the basement. But on like a different area. Nelsonville Police Department. Before they fire all the old ones, and they kept 2, and I don't think they were the good people they kept. But they fired the Hortile Police Department from what I heard. The Supreme Court in Ohio. Andrew Reisner, Catherine Hill, the Executive Director, Melissa Walker, intake caseworker. The legal department they have was Rob Driscoll, Assistant Prosecutor Attorney Elaine Evans, the paralegal. They all help to commit the fraud, the extortion, to make themselves look good, to make me look like I'm an awful person. And Rob had a problem with me keeping most of Josiah's old clothes to reuse. Although most of them were in pretty good damn shape. And not to mention, I spent well over $1,000 anyway still for the new baby. Stephanie McDaniel, the caseworker, 2016 Family Services A. That's the one I told you guys about earlier on the video. You got mad and slammed the briefcase and all the fraudulent evidence, all the fraudulent documents, and everything that she tried to submit to steal my son away and put him up for adoption because he was adoptable, and because he has special needs, they can get a lot more money from him, and they will try to sell him to the highest bidder. The alternatives response, Teresa Eisner, the caseworker, she lied on me. She called me crazy. She gaslighted me as well, like the whole freaking agency did and court personnel. She called me schizo, crazy, psychopath, unstable, unfit, threatening me. And this is when I still had a case manager through Hopewell Health Center, Teresa Skinner, and she stood up for me in court. She fought hard. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to keep my son, because she knew what they were saying was full bullshit. And she was yelling and screaming at me. Teresa Eisner went completely psychotic on me. The adoption section, Kim Holbert, the supervisor, Laura Schaefer, the caseworker, Tara Carsey, the caseworker, who also was one of the ones, along with Loa Bobo, who knocked my son unconscious, and she was one of the ones who also, with Laura Bobo, shoved me down and trampled on me, and I got back up, and they told the cop to write a fraudulent report out to attack me and throw me in jail so I can't practice my rights. That's how it went. Then Tana Curry, foster parent, recruiter, and trainer. And the Karen Armstrong parent mentor was the family support, and she could not legally go against her co-workers unless she wanted to lose her CPS badge. But she always told me, my providers, the gathering place, that I'm a well-fit mother, I'm an amazing mother, that she never had known any parent to have this much supplies for her kids, this much food for her kids, and everything else, so much clothes and activities and everything. And she's like, you don't need me, you don't need me. She kept closing me out. The court and CPS workers kept having her work with me again. Then she kept closing me out every single time. She said, you don't need us, Bethany. You're not doing nothing wrong. You're an amazing, fit, stable mother. But she couldn't go against her co-workers in court. Madeline Rainbow, which was my court appointing attorney, she fought hard. She won the first case with Josiah, and CPS acted out of retaliation for exposing them on the stand in 2016 and discriminated against me, and they kept opening cases on me for discrimination and retaliation and everything. And this last time she worked with me again, but we didn't win the case because CPS and the court personnel kept fabricating evidence, keep on submitting fraudulent evidence, fraudulent documents, kept lying on me. They had the whole freaking town ganging up on me. That's the only reason they won it, besides the money they was getting, and besides the fact that they was paying people lump sums of cash to give false testimony in court. And because of Sue Meeks literally sat on the stand. Sue Meeks, Suzanne Meeks, Susan Meeks, she goes by all the names. She sat on the court stand for 3.5 hours lying straight out of her fucking face with a straight face. Then she couldn't come up with anything else to lie about, so she was like wearing her eyes back trying to think of some other lies to say in court for 3.5 hours. And I didn't have a right to speak, neither did Madeline, and I was not allowed to speak at all in court because he knew I was going to expose them again. And Judge Robert Stewart, who closed the first case on me, did not let me speak, and I would have exposed them on the court stand and said what Sue Meeks said. And he didn't want to do that, and I don't understand why. Like, he's just so corrupt. The whole system's corrupt, y'all. Then Josh and Alicia Green from New Marshfield, Ohio, in Athens County, which is my adopted aunt and uncle. They lied to me constantly. They're the ones who told Tara Carsey that I was pregnant again. And then my aunt, lied to me, saying she hasn't told Tara Carsey nothing. Bitch, get real. And she got fixed. She had 3 girls. They wanted boys too. 2 boys and 3 girls. She couldn't have any more kids because she got fixed. Oh, then she seen me, her niece, that had 2 boys. So she went after that shit. She lied and did all kinds of everything she could to see that I'll never get my kids back. And once she got what she wanted and got permanent custody of my kids, because she wanted 2 boys as well, and she can't have any more kids, so she targeted me. after all this stuff, they quit talking to me. They went psychotic on me. They were threatening me, accusing me of being Elizabeth Tiffany Rice when I was not. And then Tara Carsey also brainwashed Josh and Alicia Green, making them believe that I was somebody that I was not. And then they kept lying, like, oh, we don't see Tara Carsey anymore. I was like, yeah, you do. Don't lie to me. I know these things. And then they called me a psychopath because my foster sisters, they had to delete their accounts because of Children's Services and because of my adopted aunt and uncle, Josh and Alicia Green. They had access, they had accounts on Facebook. Like, everybody usually has accounts on Facebook. But she went off on them saying that there's no such thing. I saw the screenshots. They took the screenshots and sent it to me on my messenger, and the stuff that Alicia was calling me and doing to them was uncalled for and was violent, and they literally went psycho. And then find out they'll allow my adopted family, Serena and Richard Limley and Cassandra Green, to be around my kids. They're the ones who almost murdered me. And now they let my kids around that. My kids are not safe there. My kids are safe with me and my care, not them. The high representatives I contacted was Jay Edwards on High Street, 14th floor in Columbus, the U.S. House of Representatives, Steve Stovers, Washington, D.C. office, and the Central Ohio District office in Hilliard, Ohio, U.S. Senate, Sherrod Brown, Washington, D.C., and in Columbus. Contacted them both on those numbers. And then I tried to contact Rob Portman in Columbus and the Washington, D.C. office as well. And for anyone to say that there is, if CPS says you just know abuse registry for your state, just know there is. This is a copy of the abuse registry. And they fraudulently put me on there for substantiation, which was not substantial. And what it was the CPS workers neglected my oldest child so they can have some type of fraudulent evidence to prove that, to try to make people believe that I was neglecting my oldest when I was not, so they could just put me on this registry for 10 years. By fraud. Laura Bubba and Tara Carsey and CPS and the foster family was neglecting my autistic child. And they didn't have no evidence on me to prove that, so they did it to pin on me, and they did the same thing with Dylan. So I'm on there with both kids for neglect that I never did, that I never whatsoever did. It was all fraud for profit. So if your CPS workers say, oh, there's no such thing as a registry, just know there's a registry in every state, and there's also a central registry. So don't let these CPS people lie to you with a straight face. And they will commit fraud and everything else to pin on you, to strip your rights away. So here's a letter from the Athens Mental Health Incorporated, gathering place in the Mike's Bridge House, January 2020. To whom it may concern, the statement is regarding Bethany Limley child custody hearing. Bethany has been a member of the gathering place since 2013, but I've been going up there since 2012, but only been a member since 2013. And has always engaged in health and wellness activities within our programming when able to attend. When her first son was born in 2016, Bethany put in a lot of effort to prepare with diapers, bottles, clothing, and other items. When we observed Bethany at the gathering place, she was always attentive to her son's needs. He always had clean clothes, was kept clean, had formula and food. With her more recent pregnancy, Bethany also was well prepared with needed items for a newborn and also has maintained her services with various providers. So I'm going to read that again. And I have maintained my services with various providers. And Children's Services and the Guardian Ad Litem, Sue Meeks also said I was not maintaining my services with various providers when I was. When we observed Bethany at the gathering place, she was always attentive to her son's needs. He always had clean clothes, was kept clean, and had formula items for a newborn, and also maintain her services with various providers. Bethany is a planner and has always maintained a wellness plan and list of goals in order to recognize and keep track of her responsibilities in her life. This was by the executive director. I'm not going to say her name or her information. And this is, here we go, 11/14/2016. I got a letter from the doctor's office. And it says, excessive freak administration with irregular cycle. To women may concern, Bethany Lindley came to all her prenatal and postpartum office visits with Josiah Allen Brandon Lindley. Here we go. Proof. And Children's Services got mad because I didn't give them the father's information because, well, he's never going to be a father. He's just going to be a sperm donor like Dylan's dad was. But, they was going to place my oldest child with Norman Edward Pike, who is abusive, who cannot even take care of himself, who is a psychopath, a narcissist, a gaslighter, a sexual abuser, mental abuser, verbal abuser, physical abuser, and he's the one who was going to slit my throat, which is Josiah's sperm donor. And that's who they was going to place Josiah with if I gave them the information. And they said there was no such thing as a waiver. They want to get paternity testing establishment, but there was no such thing as a waiver, that they didn't believe there was a waiver when they knew there was a waiver. So I'm going to read this. Name of children, Josiah Allen Lindley, which they forgot to put B because he has two middle names. So they only put Josiah A. Lindley, but it should have been Josiah A. B. Lindley. Approve a good cause waiver. You have requested a good cause waiver requirement to cooperate with the Child Support Enforcement Agency. The Child Support Enforcement Agency has reviewed the written documentation provided to us, and the CSEA is approving your request for a good cause waiver. You are receiving this letter for one of the following reasons. Approve a permanent good cause waiver, which I was approved. The CSEA is approving a permanent good cause waiver, and you do not have to cooperate with the CSEA in establishing paternity or establishing or enforcing support order. It's proof. Yeah. And CPS didn't like that too well, because they'll probably was going to send my kid to our abuser. But he never met his kid, so. But the sperm donor is awful. He's very abusive. My case manager even stated that Josiah got his behavior issues and his autism issues from Norman Edward Pike. Then 10/27/2019, I already read this, is basically just saying that I've been compliant with my prenatal care for my pregnancy with Dylan. And the rest of this is just like records of Dylan. And he automatically fell underneath the categories of Medicaid because I get Medicaid. And this is what they brought to unlawfully and wrongfully to kidnap my infant from the hospital. My infant was completely healthy. There was nothing wrong with him. There was no drugs in his system. And what they did was illegal. My attorney told me it was illegal for them to remove my infant from me at birth. They had no reason to remove him. It shocked everybody. So this is what, they didn't even know my son's name. Like, they didn't even know my son's name. They didn't know nothing about him, supposedly. And they was going to get me for dependency. Then when they finally got permanent custody of him within 3 weeks after he was born, they pinned neglect on me. There was never neglect with none of my kids. There was never abuse with none of my kids. There was never unstability with none of my kids. My kids had everything they needed. My kids were well taken care of. They were never beaten on. They were never neglected. But like I said, they don't have to have a reason to take your kid. And this right here, y'all, is kind of a threatening letter. That, as you can see, look, that's the bitch she's kidnapped both of my kids through fraud. And she's a narcissist. She's a gaslighter. She's an abuser. Get a good old look at her signature, y'all. It says, Ms. Lindley, Athens County Church Services have received information that you are currently pregnant because my aunt and uncle lied, so they never told them. Which illegally, they took my infant from me illegally. Just because there's a case open, they cannot legally take the baby. They have to have a reason. They did not have a reason to take my infant. And my attorney told me don't say shit to them because they're going to take your baby no matter what you tell them. If you tell them anything, they will take it. And my attorney told me, my court-appointed attorney told me they legally cannot take Dylan from the hospital. Literally 5-10 minutes, if that, after I got out of C-section, I had a group of 10 people in my freaking recovery room waiting for me. And I had Dylan's wig appointment set up and Dylan's first well check set up, and my nurse Shayna Lewis was going to take me and Dylan to WIC and to his well check appointment. Literally 2 days after, 2 to 3 days after I was released from the hospital. Literally. And I had a way there. And I had everything set up. His well check, the WIC appointment. I had everything set up before I even left the hospital. Literally after 5 to 10 minutes, if that, after getting out of a major surgery. Anyway, it says, continue reading. It says, because you already have a current case with you, would like to have a conversation regarding your plan to care for this child once she is born. And what she said there, it was illegal. They have no right to do that. That was illegal. And my attorney told me that. And she spelled meat for M-E-E-T. She spelled it as M-E-A-T. She spelled like a complete fucking retard. Literally. And she never set up home visits. She never did none of that stuff. She didn't even do a home visit. She didn't even do none of that. She wanted what she fucking wanted. And Tara Carsey's adoption caseworker. And she's a narcissist, a gaslighter, a manipulator, a liar. She has narcissist personality disorder. She's a psychopath. They don't protect kids. They abuse kids, drug kids, rape kids, neglect kids. So with that said, again, I had to redo the video, but I had to do what I had to do. Because most of it did not cut out. Most of it it cut out. Sorry. But I will do another video tomorrow about more stuff. I'm going to actually go through more paperwork tomorrow. To see if there's any other things I would like to use and get notarized. And then, there's one more thing, actually, I forgot to read. It's from Green Cab. To women may concern, we're here at Green Cab has taken Bethany Limley to and from her doctor's appointments and therapy appointments throughout her pregnancy. We can provide her and Dylan transportation if needed to the appointment. She just needs to call. And they tried to say there was a risk of future harm. And that's why they took my infant away from me permanently as well. Because of a risk of future harm when there was no risk at all. So y'all folks, that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I know I had to redo the video. It's getting late. So anyway, I'm just going to end this video. And I hope this story inspires people, and please share my video. Share this video, not the other video, but share this video to all the CPS groups. Take care. Peace. Bye.